talking about 5 cards that you're going to want to keep an eye on, especially for the future months of the game. Don't make 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out. More Oz content. The first thing we're going to be talking about here is Ghost Meets Girl, a masterful Mayakashi Shiranui saga. Now you're like, holy crap, that's a card name. Well, for those of you that don't know, this is a very interesting card because it says tribute to Mayakashi Shiranui Synchro or Link Monster. Neither player can special summon monsters from the hand deck or extra deck for the rest of this turn. You can banish this card, target one of your banished zombie monsters, return it to your hand. You can only activate one masterful Shiranui Mayakashi saga once per turn and only once that per turn. So what in the world are we doing with this? Like, why does this matter? Well, we have a card coming out here called Transaction Rollback, which this is actually probably one of the most interesting cards we've got coming out in modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! History. So you can pay half your life points, target one normal trap in your opponent's graveyard except for Transaction Rollback. This effect becomes that normal trap's effect when that card is activated. Okay, so you can copy a trap in the graveyard. Your secondary effect here is you can banish this card from your graveyard, pay half your life points, target one normal trap in your graveyard except for Transaction Rollback. This effect becomes that normal trap's effect when that card is activated. Oh, our favorite line of text. We get to bypass cost with this. Now, the Mayakashi trap's not going to be the only thing here. You're going to want to look for normal traps, or any sort of normal trap that can create a scenario for you that would put you into what we're going to call the winning game state. And Virtual World was the thing that we saw pop up that was initially playing this. So, fair heads up here, because of the inclusion of Transaction Rollback, there's like some OTK shenanigans that you can do with this card too. The card is like massively busted for what it is, but just in the entire line of modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! For things that you can do, this is one of the many little interactions that you can. So, something to consider. Next up is the Eye of Truth. Now, I talked about this as an absolute joke, and I'm going to talk about this again as an absolute joke because I still think that this is terrible. But there are Yu-Gi-Oh! Players out here that are convinced that their Vanquish Soul matchup is nearly unwinnable, and that because of the way that the game is going right now, they need to have some sort of method to stop this deck from playing the game. Now, the Eye of Truth, your opponent must keep their hand revealed. And then once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, if they have a spell or spells in their hand, they gain 1,000 life points for each spell in their hand at resolution. Ah, boy. So, basically, the interaction with Vanquish Soul is, well, you can't reveal if your hand is already revealed. That is the simple interaction that this is causing you to play. Now, I don't really have much else for this. I think that if you're worried about Vanquish Soul and all of like the little interactions that it kind of brings to the table, I feel like you're just trying to punt the game in ways. Because honestly, Skill Drain does the same thing but better in certain regards. But if you are just trying to turn the deck into, vanilla beatdown turbo, then I guess the Eye of Truth is going to be like the best method for you. But like, are you really worried about a mid-range control deck that much that you're dedicating 3 side slots to it? Like, come on, be realistic here at this point. Like, that many option cards that you could have for other matchups, and you're dedicating the Eye of Truth to it? I don't know. Good news is Eye of Truth does have a speed duel version. If you're looking to spend, $1 on a play set, I suppose that you can do the thing, but this is hilarious. Like, if this actually takes off and Vanquish Soul becomes a crazy deck, I guess. Next up here is Unchained stuff. Now, keep in mind that in Duelist Nexus, we are getting our next round of power-ups. Now, I'll be honest with you here, Abomination's Prison is an expensive card. Holy moly, I did not realize that the top-end searcher for the deck was nearing the $15 mark. I don't know what happened. I blinked, I missed it, but I thought most Unchained cards were, sub $1. But both copies of Abomination's Prison, which is the searcher, the Ultra is $5+, and then you're seeing, obviously, the Secret Rare version spin on up to something else. Now, once again, with every other interaction that you have, the rest of the deck is extremely cheap. So, in, regards to the new support, whether or not it takes off or it's like something crazy, you can obviously merge it into IKEA or Labyrinth if you really want to test out some of the little hybrid builds out here, but that's only because it works because of generic Fiend support. You gotta love the fact that things that you didn't think would interact with each other, something like Unchained and Labyrinth, both Fiend locking you, and you're like, oh, hey, we can go ahead and we can climb up the different Fiend ladders and actually interact in multiple ways here. Yeah, that's a thing right now. So I would keep a big eye on Unchained stuff, strictly because some of the... Actually, I did forget, the Unchained Link 4 is a good to decent amount of money. Actually, Abomination is probably one of the most expensive cards in the entire archetype, next to Prison itself, but it's only because it's generic Link 4 insanity. And then, of course, the Link climbing aspects of the deck are really good. Honestly, that's the thing that makes the deck so cool, is getting to utilize your opponent's monsters as resources for yourself. Oh boy. Red Reboot here. Come on! At this point in time, people actually... this is wild to me. Because of the whole German nationals fiasco and the resolution of Eradicator Epidemic Virus, people have lost their mind right now. People are like, oh my gosh, trust me, Robbie, Red Reboot's coming back out here at this point. Trust me, I know everything. I have a crystal ball. It tells me the future, and you're wrong about Red Reboot not coming back into the game. Here's the thing that makes Red Reboot so insane. It's a floodgate that you can activate from your hand that jams you out of trap cards for the rest of the turn. And a lot of people are like, oh, floodgates are bad for the game. But these are the same people that'll be cheering to the top of their lungs that we need a floodgate back in the game. I don't feel like people are, should be allowed to have their cake and eat it. It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm going to put this on the radar as the, oh my gosh, it's coming back, guys, hype, I guess. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players tend to shout the craziest things at the top of their lungs just to want to see, the format go crazy. I personally don't think that this is coming back. I personally think the card is busted, beyond all relief, and Konami's not going to rat it to have it be playable. That's not what they're going to do, unless, we see cleanup somewhere else in another sector of the game. It's not going to happen, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Players will get their hopes up. They'll be like, oh my gosh, I know everything. Trust me. Yeah, okay. I mentioned Red Reboot for you. Congratulations. You got the best reaction that you're probably going to get, so I guess. Red Reboot is such a crazy card, though. Good stuff, I guess. It's definitely had a timer on it. And the last thing I'm going to talk about here is Zumbira the Dark Lost Art. Actually, I just want to mention Lost Arts in general for this last little section here. Obviously, the value of Lost Arts as a Modern Era have been worth nothing. Most of them are $1 or $2. This is why I mentioned this, is if you're looking at the secondary market, you're like, I kind of want to pick up, one of these Lost Arts and actually be able to enjoy them. Well, good news, especially with the Zumbira Lost Art. I think that this is a cool collector's piece just to have. Also, if you play older formats, this is one of the set 'em up DDD targets that you could play, and then you get to laugh at your opponent because, it reads as, 2100 while face down. Your opponent never actually sees it coming. It wasn't a super relevant thing, but is one of those things that you're like, oh, okay. But Modern Era Lost Art promos have been very cheap. They're some of the cheapest that they've ever been. And I do think that this is going to be something you might want to keep an eye on. I actually just, once again, Lost Arts across the board. If you're seeing $1.50 Lost Arts on the secondary market, you're like, I kind of want to pick up a set of these, I would do so. But Zumbira, for me, is a personal favorite, strictly for older format stuff. Obviously, Monster Reborn, Exodia, all of those other Lost Arts are still up there, the different Dark Magician Girls. But if you're a collector and you want something to do, the Lost Arts sector in the game is very, very interesting. It's always going to be a fun place to kind of keep an eye on things. So, what do you guys think about these goodies? Please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. See your beautiful faces back here learning today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.